Each and every year, the Midwest produces a ton of football talent. Some states are known for producing linemen, some have big-time wide receivers, and some produce great quarterbacks. There's been plenty of big names to come out of the Midwest over the last few years, and in today's video, I'm going to try a new video topic. I have no idea if this is going to do well or not, but essentially what we're going to be doing here is we're going to go through all 12 of the Midwest states and talk about their most electric freshmen/recruit in the country. These will be players who are from the 2024 recruiting class, and essentially, we're going to go through each state, talk about their most exciting player, what their impact could be at the next level, and why they are so great. For all I know, the video will end up getting 1,000 views, but who cares? I think it'll be a good time, and I hope you guys enjoy it, and we can do more videos like this. But before we get started, if you're a big fan of college football, be sure to subscribe to the channel, leave a like if you want to support today's video, and let me know what player, team, topic, or situation I could cover next. Now let's get started and talk about the most talented freshmen from every Midwest state. So the first state we're going to start with is my own, and we're going to talk about Indiana. I would say Indiana probably has anywhere between 5 and 10 blue chip recruits each and every year, and there are a couple of good names so far. You have a big-time offensive lineman going to Ohio State by the name of Ian Moore. You have a big-time corner named Josiah Edmond going to Michigan, a superstar receiver named Mylan Graham going to Ohio State. But in my eyes, the most exciting freshman from the state is a kid by the name of Nitarion Tuggle. His nickname is Nitro, and at this time last year, Tuggle was absolutely nothing. He literally pretty much came out of nowhere and went from a 0-star recruit to a guy with a ton of offers. In 2022, he'd ended up catching 40 passes for 742 yards and 15 touchdowns and had a big-time list of offers. He ended up choosing Georgia over the likes of LSU and Penn State, and Tuggle will hope to get on the field right away. At 6 foot, Tuggle's an electric playmaker who should be a touchdown machine by the time he gets through Georgia. He's someone I'm super pumped to watch, and hopefully he'll be the most exciting player from this Indiana class. Illinois had a couple of good candidates for the job, as Marquise Lightfoot is a top 40 player going to Miami, Cam Williams is a top 100 receiver going to Notre Dame, and Christian Beneker is a tight end going to Clemson. While those three guys are great, we have to stick with Justin Scott. Currently, he is ranked as a top 11 player in the class of 2024, and his story is pretty insane. He ended up going to St. Ignatius High School in Chicago, and he played both football and basketball. Maybe basketball for a while, but he literally started playing football in 2021. That was his first year playing varsity, and he had 37 tackles and 2 fumble recoveries in his first year. This past season, he was named the Player of the Year in the state, and ended up finishing with 28 tackles, 2 sacks, and 2 pass deflections. He also became a running back on offense and finished with 121 yards and 2 touchdowns there. The guy is extremely athletic and is already being projected as a first-round draft pick for 2027. He's someone I'm going to be watching as he went all the way from Chicago down to Miami. As we go over to the state of Iowa, there are a couple of players we should look at. The first one is linebacker Derek Weiskopf, as he's the #1 player in the state and is going to Iowa. You also have 2 offensive linemen in Grant Bricks and Cody Fox, and then linebacker Cam Buffington. It seems like pretty much everybody in the state is going over to Iowa, but the guy I want to talk about is actually the 5th best recruit in the state, and his name is Brevin Dahl. This guy reminds me of a Sam Laporta or Cooper DeJean type player, as he went to Adele DeSoto Minburn High School. I'm going to assume that is a very small school, but he absolutely blew up there. He played both running back and linebacker, has a single season record for rushing touchdowns at 27, and is also the best track runner in school history. The guy ran for 1,500 yards and 27 touchdowns as a senior, ran kickoffs back, returned punts, and also played all over the defense. Literally, this guy is like Cooper DeJean 2.0, and Iowa always has some kid like that. I guarantee you in a couple of years you're going to know the name Brevin Dahl, and he's someone who could be exciting as a true freshman there. Typically, the state of Kansas does not have a ton of football talent. Last year you had both Dylan Edwards and Avery Johnson, and this year there are actually 4 blue chip recruits. 3 of them are offensive linemen, so no offense, they're not going to be that exciting next year, but the guy we have to talk about is Gavin Hoffman. As a Mizzou fan, I have been following Gavin Hoffman for the last year or so, as he went to Blue Valley Northwest, which is in the suburbs of Kansas City, and was a big target of Mizzou. Hoffman blew up from just an average 3-star recruit to now a top 200 player in the class of 2024. He plays the tight end position, and Hoffman could be the next big Iowa tight end. He ended up becoming the school record holder in career receiving touchdowns at 18, and was also a basketball star. The tight end position is not known for putting up the biggest numbers, but the fact that he was a touchdown machine in high school tells me he's going to translate to the next level. Iowa always has big-time tight ends, and Gavin Hoffman could be the next one in line. While some may debate if Michigan is actually a Midwest school, according to Wikipedia they are, so we're going to go ahead and go with that. The state of Michigan currently has 7 blue-chip recruits, and 3 of them are committed to Michigan, and 1 is committed to Michigan State. Braden Davis Swain is going over to Colorado, and Andrew Dennis is an offensive lineman going to Illinois. The guy we're going to talk about, though, is CJ Carr. CJ Carr at one point was considered a 5-star recruit, and is actually the son of famous Michigan coach Lloyd Carr. Carr has been a big deal over the last few years, as during his junior season, he threw for 2,700 yards with 26 touchdowns. He also ran for 7 more scores on the ground, and he would increase that number in 2023. He ended up leading his team to a 9-2 record, as he threw for 2,700 yards with 24 touchdowns and then 9 scores on the ground. While CJ Carr probably won't play a ton right away, Riley Leonard has some injury history, and I'm not exactly sold on either Steve Angeli or Kenny Minchey. If something crazy happens, I could see CJ Carr playing as a true freshman. That's just my take though. Maybe wide receiver Nick Marsh will end up being a superstar receiver as a true freshman at Michigan State. For now though, I think Carr is the most exciting. Continuing on, we're now going to talk about the state of Minnesota. Minnesota has 3 blue chip recruits, but only one is really that special. Wyatt Gilmore is a 4-star defensive lineman going to Oklahoma, and Emerson Mandel is an offensive lineman going to Wisconsin. The guy we're going to talk about though is Coy Parrish. He ended up going to Lincoln Secondary High School, which is located in Esko, Minnesota. This guy's pretty awesome, as he ended up playing for the Eskimos and was all over the field. He played offense, defense, and special teams, as he had 27 total touchdowns as a senior and made 62 tackles, had 7 TFLs, and 2 sacks. He also had 5 interceptions, recovered 2 fumbles, and ran the ball 61 times for 708 yards and 16 scores. He literally did pretty much everything and was named a first-team All-State selection. It looks like he also played basketball and track, and he's a classic example of a guy who does pretty much everything. He'll be headed to Minnesota, and he's a guy who I think could step on the field right away. I'm pretty excited to watch him, and he's ranked as a top 75 player in the class of 2024. As we now head over to the state of Missouri, Mizzou fans are going to hate me for who I'm going to pick. Well, yes, Williams Nwaneri is a top 6 player in the class of 2024, he's not the guy I'm most excited for as a freshman. The state of Missouri has a ton of blue chip players, as they actually have 11 guys who are considered 4-star recruits or better. While Aeneas Williams finished second for me, the guy I'm most excited to watch next year is Ryan Wingo. He famously spurned Mizzou for Texas, but Wingo is a 5-star recruit and the number 7 overall wide receiver and should get a chance to play right away for Texas. In my eyes, he'll probably be 4th on the depth chart, and this is after an insane high school career. This past year, despite everyone knowing he was going to get the ball, he caught 46 passes for 569 yards and 7 touchdowns. This also came in just under 7 games, and he pretty much played the entirety of his career. If history repeats itself, he'll be just like his brothers. His brother Ronnie played for the Arkansas Razorbacks and went to the NFL, and his brother Ray Wingo played defensive back at Mizzou. Wingo's an insane athlete, and I think he'll make a lot of noise as a freshman, and could even have a Xavier Worthy type freshman year for Texas. As we get to the state of Nebraska, it is a really weird 2024 class for them. The Huskers technically have 4 blue chip players, as quarterback Daniel Kalen will end up being on the roster, and then they have 2 offensive linemen that went from not ranked recruits to all of a sudden 4 stars. Jacob Arap is going to South Dakota, and Sam Thomas is going to Northern Iowa. Literally both of these guys are 4-star recruits, and they're going to FCS programs. Honestly, it's kind of cool. That really leaves us with one player to talk about, and that is Carter Nelson. Nelson is a tight end from Ainsworth, Nebraska, and he definitely lives up to his top 50 status. This past year as a senior, Nelson did pretty much everything. He started from the get-go at Ainsworth High School, and as a senior, he caught 32 passes for 658 yards and 14 touchdowns, and also ran for 1,200 yards and 19 touchdowns. On defense, he made 80 tackles with 3 picks, and led his team to a 9-1 record and a playoff berth. As a junior, he played quarterback, and Carter Nelson can pretty much do everything. That's why he's listed as the number 49 player in the class of 2024 and the number 3 tight end overall. Nelson is a guy who I think will get on the field pretty much right away and will be a lot of fun to watch. For the state of Wisconsin, there are currently 3 blue chip recruits. You have 2 offensive tackles in Garrett Sexton and Nathan Roy, and Sexton's going to Penn State and Roy is going to Minnesota. But like Garrett, the guy we're going to talk about, Corey Smith, is also going to Penn State. After going to Catholic Memorial High School in Waukesha, Wisconsin, Corey Smith was seen as a high major player, and chose Penn State over offers from Boston College, Michigan State, Nebraska, and Wisconsin. He was pretty insane, as he had back-to-back 1,100-yard seasons during his sophomore and junior year, and also had 42 combined touchdowns. Because of an injury during his senior year, he's kind of been going under the radar, but while he's probably the most exciting recruit from the state of Wisconsin, he probably won't play a lot because Katron Allen and Nick Singleton are the two main running backs for Penn State already. We are now getting into some of the really fun and interesting states, and South Dakota has 6 total recruits in the 24/7 database, 2 of which are actually blue chips. Navarro Shunk is an offensive lineman going to K-State, but the guy we're going to talk about is Thomas Heiberger. He's a 4-star recruit and the 33rd best linebacker in the country, and he'll be going over to Wisconsin. Heiberger has been pretty dominant, as he's pretty much done everything. He was a baseball, basketball, track, and football star, and also even played quarterback while he was at Roosevelt High School. During his senior year, he ended up making 39 tackles with 5.5 sacks, and then 5 touchdowns on offense. He ended up winning a ton of games, and because of his measurables and his potential and his leadership, he'll get a chance to be a linebacker at Wisconsin, and he's one of those perfect players for Wisconsin who'll end up being a star in 2 or 3 years. Going one state north to North Dakota, there was really only one option for us to talk about. While there were 5 total recruits in the state in 24/7's database, only one of which was listed as a blue chip. His name is Riley Sunrom, I hope I said it correct, and he comes out of Kindred, North Dakota. That is a town with less than 1,000 people, which the nearest biggest city is Fargo, and Sunrom was a big deal while he was there. He ended up playing for Kindred High School, and while he was there, he led his team to a 12-0 season and a 2023 state championship. He ended up anchoring an offensive line that averaged nearly 300 rushing yards per game, and as a defender, he ended up having 46 tackles, 13.5 TFLs, and 6.5 sacks. At 6'4" and nearly 280 pounds, Sunrom is exactly what PJ Fleck is looking for, and maybe we'll get a chance to play early on for Minnesota's defensive line. Last but not least, we get to the state of Ohio, and this one was extremely difficult. Ohio is even more loaded than the state of Missouri, as there are 14 blue chip recruits from the state. That is because of both its size and its vast amount of large cities, but after sorting through every player, in my opinion, the most exciting freshman is going to be Jordan Marshall. He ended up going to Archbishop Moeller High School, and ESPN has been really high on this dude. Since Blake Corum left for the NFL, Donovan Edwards will be the superstar. As we've seen though, Michigan likes to play 2 running backs, and maybe, just maybe, Jordan Marshall could take that spot. This past year, he was Ohio's Mr. Football, as he ran for nearly 1,600 yards and 17 touchdowns. He broke multiple school records, and ESPN said, quote, "He has everything Michigan wants in a running back. There's literally nothing this guy can't do," and Michigan beat out Ohio State for him. Marshall's a guy who could play right away for the Wolverines, and someone who I think is going to get a lot of hype. So yeah, today we went through all the Midwestern states and talked about their most exciting recruit/freshmen. I have no idea if the video will do well or not, but I did enjoy making it, and let me know your thoughts down below. Who's your favorite recruit from your state? Should I do more videos like this? And did I get something right and wrong? If I did, be sure to let me know down below. Leave a like if you want to support today's video, subscribe if you're new, and check out all other videos on the end screen. I hope to see you guys again soon, but until next time, peace.